We are called to be free. Not everyone realizes and embraces that, but we are called to be free. Free from shame, free from guilt, chaos, confusion, depression, anxiety, toxic soul ties, generational cycles of illicit covenants, curses. Must I go on? Hi, I'm Stephanie Solomon. I am the host of today's podcast, Winning Ways, as well as an author and a life coach with niches in forgiveness, family relations, and personal development. And today, I just want you to just have a little introspection or reflection about what thing among many, just one thing, that you are fearful of addressing, apprehensive about dealing with, whatever that thing is. You know, I think at some point for our healing, our wholeness, that at some point our good health, our mental health, our emotional well being, and the good health of our relationships with other people, that at some point we have to not just take an account but deal with some things that have been dealing with us. And it doesn't always have to be what other people have done or are doing. It could be what we are doing to ourselves or what we have done to ourselves. And I believe that when we take that step, we take a step of healing. All right, absolutely. Healing starts with, yep, healing starts with you. You know, it's a growth mindset to say, I no longer want to remain in the state that I am in currently. I don't know what better looks like, but I want to move beyond that. I really do. And I do understand that we are not always at a mental or emotional place to deal with things. That would be unrealistic to just say, deal with it, because we're not always there. Things happen in life. Things are going on that don't give us the space within ourselves uh, to just deal with stuff, to put it put it bluntly, meaning that we don't have the bandwidth that day. We may not have the bandwidth for a while to deal with some things. You ever have a needed conversation, a conversation that has to be had with an individual, but you know that it needs to be planned? It shouldn't just because you want to talk about it. You may need to talk about it, but we need to put some things in place. Maybe have a mediator. Maybe select a day that works well for two people and a time, because then it is likely that both individuals have the capacity to hear each other out. Healing takes place when you and I decide to address whatever the it is in our lives. Evolve for Life helps individuals triumph through family relations, forgiveness, and personal development. Solo sessions and group sessions of no more than 4 are currently available. So schedule your appointment today at www.stephanieersolomon.com. And that's Stephanie with 2 N's. Oh, yeah, 2 N's. Yes, if you are looking for a one-on-one session with me, just look at the ticker and hit that. Yeah, that's my login right there. All right, let's get back to this, because there are just 2 things and I've already addressed one. Healing starts with you, and healing starts when you and I decide that we're going to address something. And sometimes I run into individuals as a coach who really have a problem with the word healing, because they see it as personal attack on themselves, like something's wrong with me. The truth is something's wrong with all of us. I don't get Bible on you now. We were created in iniquity, but at the same token, and we're not perfect. We're not perfect people. And healing is not a bad word. I need to say that. It takes us to better. And again, we have to build and get to a place of building the capacity to get there. I understand we don't always have the capacity to do better in the moment like we should. But that's not an excuse not to build or cultivate capacity, because just because I don't have it today doesn't mean I may not have it tomorrow or next week. We can acquire the capacity for various things if we want it. So healing is not a bad word, and not having the bandwidth or the capacity to address something today doesn't mean that we won't have it for the future. Well, I want to leave you with this other thought to think about when you're thinking about that thing that you need to address. Understand that when we address anything, we grow. Not just addressing people, address anything, even addressing ourselves. Not so much looking at others. As a life coach, I try to get people to look inward before looking at other people. Because as humans, we tend to look at what other people did or did not do before looking inward. But understand that when we start exploring us, discovering us, and getting our healing in and continuing that journey of healing, we are growing. This is something. Yes, grow through what you go through, because your growth is power. Absolutely. It is powerful, and it is power. You know, I've also learned that people have a mom, they're apprehensive with the word addressing an issue or person or whatever, because oftentimes people confuse addressing with confrontation. They are similar, but they are not identical. They're like fraternal twins. You know, a boy or a girl, male, female, can be twins, but they're not identical for obvious reasons, right? So, addressing something differs in tone in our approach than confronting. So let me just deal with that very quickly to help those who think negatively about addressing something and you become fearful about addressing something. This is what I happened upon because I wanted clarity. I needed clarity. And I just pulled out a few things here. The tone, intention, and approach are the three things that distinguish these two, confrontation and addressing. When we address something, we tend to be a little more diplomatic. We think about taming our words so we're calmer because we're not trying to be offensive. We want our messaging to get across. Okay. We manage how we say what we say, but we have care in what we're saying. However, with confrontation, there tends to be aggression, and there tends to be a directness. That directness can come off as a little brazen and brassy, and cause bruising, by the way. Whereas addressing is a bit different. Also, when we address, we're looking for a positive discussion, not a monologue about me, where confrontation tends to be more concerned about me, which you should be concerned about yourself and addressing as well. You're concerned about your feelings or whatever, workplace, whatever. You should be concerned about those things. But confrontation really puts it in the forefront. Okay. Whereas Addressing is more about discussion towards creating a solution, where again, confrontation is more about a challenge and wanting for the right now. And finally, with addressing, addressing aims for a collaborative solution, not just a solution centered on what I think it ought to be. It's how can you and I come together to make this work? All right, for the good of something, versus having a monologue, as I said earlier, that creates tension and that can create tension and conflict. You know, this became even real to me when I looked at the differences between addressing and confrontation. Something that happened this week. I came across my Instagram feed, and when I saw it, I was like, wow. A certain person who has been, whose initials are JDV, was on a tarmac where the airplane of our current vice president had landed. Um, and he, from my understanding, did not ask permission, but just walked over and wanted to have words with her. His body language spoke not confidence. It spoke confrontation. I'm ready for some ish, and it looked very, and it came off brazen, brash. It came off. It wasn't a good look either for a man to come wanting to talk to a woman that way. That spoke volumes to me, because I'm thinking, if you come off in public like that, what in the world are you like behind closed doors and in private? Yeah. So I saw he really didn't want to have a discussion. He wanted to be heard. He wanted to say whatever it was he wanted to say. And in saying it, he was giving this aggressive messaging with his words and his body language. He wasn't trying to address, he was trying to confront. Oh, well. But that really lined up with what I was looking for, finding the difference between the two. I end you on this note. Fear is not something that we've been given or called to have. Freedom is what we have been called to have. All right. And it is human to get the jitters and thinking about some things that we've put in the on, recesses of our mind, as well as on the back burner, because they create anxiety, unwanted anxiety. But I am a witness to say to you today that eventually, when you get to a place and you ask for help, even to get to a place of having the capacity to address whatever the it is, oh my God, you will see a new you, a version of you that maybe you did imagine and hope for, that comes to fruition. All right. So I challenge you today to get your healing in by addressing, yes, addressing whatever the it is in your life. All right. Until the next time, remember this: healing starts with you, and grow through whatever it is that you go through, because your growth is definitely your power. Take care.